What's good, gente? Thank you guys once again for tuning in. Like always, highly appreciate that, man. Real talk. As you guys can see on the thumbnail and on the title, right, we got a good one. As you guys can see, it says Nuestra Cosa, the Dropout Gang against the Riders. And the reason why I decided to make the video was because someone left a comment, right? They left a comment on a prior video, and they pretty much said, man, pretty soon there's going to be a dropout gang to a dropout gang, right? And if I happen to have some of you guys confused, let me give you an example, right? So right now, you guys know the typical group that you guys consider dropouts, right? That go against these certain organizations, like the 2-5, New Flowers, IRs, of course, certified riders, right? And the list goes on. Of course, there's a big list. There's a lot of these gangs. So technically, all these gangs are gonna end up having a defected group that's going to go against them, just how they go against these organizations that are still up and running till this day. You know, they're still there, but in number wise in prison, it has changed a lot. Someone ended up dropping a good ass comment, right? And I had thought about it, man. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna make a video, because technically that's already happened. In a writer's eyes, the Nuestra Cosas, no disrespects, right, towards that group or organization, whatever they want to call themselves, right? At the end of the day, man, this is no shots, but it's gonna seem like I'm kind of hating, right? But in all reality, man, to the writers, that's technically what they are. They're considered dropouts out of that group that are now in a certain list, you know, and I'll explain. But before I do that, man, let's make sure to hit them likes, make sure to subscribe, hit that follow, hit that notification bell, right? Just in case we go live. You guys know it gets good, man. So make sure to tap in and drop comments to let me know what you guys think. And I know there's gonna be a few that are gonna be upset, right? But before you hit that thumbs down, let me at least explain, right? So that you guys at least understand what I'm saying and what I'm trying to tell you, right? Especially if any of you guys happen to be NC sympathizers. Okay, so with that being said, man, let's get started. So yeah, most of us are aware that the NCs, most of them used to be all Northern Riders, right? Or most of them, even some were actually some of the original members, or they claim to be some of the original members when it came to both organizations, right? And the reason why I say both is because some went to the other group, and they're technically still some of the first to actually be part of that organization, right? We all know that Scrappy ended up taking a lot of riders, and how the riders ended up seeing that move was technically they all dropped out. You know, they all ended up dropping out, and they even got put on the list. You know, let's just be real. Most of those guys are put on that list, and technically, if you pay attention, it's the same thing like what the other guys do. They ended up putting those dudes on the list. So now these dudes are putting these dudes on the list. So technically, man, there's already a dropout gang towards another dropout gang. And if we actually get like critical, most of these other gangs or groups or whatever, right, that aren't in the SNYs, they probably feel the same way about these other groups that are in there. Just that technically they ain't got nowhere else to go, so they just gotta either suck it up or deal with it. And like I said, man, these two groups don't really program together. They do separate them in prison for the simple fact that they can't be together. So technically, they're considered to be dropouts. You know, that's how they look at them. They're going to argue and say childless, of course. You know, it's understandable. They're going to say that these other dudes were poo butts, and they had to pretty much push on so that they can continue a certain push, you know. And I don't blame them, you know. Me personally, I don't agree with some of the things that old boy badass or whatever he wants to be called that day, right? Um, that he has to happen to be saying, right? I don't agree with some most of that shit, right? Hell no. But at the same time, I get how people see it, you know, from the outside, and that shit's just not cool. You get me? But at the end of the day, man, I'm not gonna be saying or telling you guys that these dudes are poo butts or anything like that, right? Nah, chales. I'm actually gonna be telling you guys straight up. Some of the MCs are actually with the biz. But at the same time, most of them were writers, homie. And like I said back then, it was a big difference to what it is now. You know, nowadays it's a whole different ball game. And they happen to have a lot of members that were once, you know, the same part of that group. And like I said, man, they were with the business, they were with that activity. Just because they went to another group or created another group, that doesn't mean that they ain't with that business, you know? So, hey, I'm not going to lie to you guys, man. To what people been saying, of course, I only had a few encounters with them, but I have read some paperwork, and I actually happen to know some of the individuals that happen to be part of that group, man. And I'm just like, damn. But I see where they're coming from, right? At the end of the day, man, everyone's going to do their own decision and strive how they want to strive, right? So, hey, let them do their thing. And like I said, man, out of that black and white, I'm not gonna take nothing from them, bro. They with the business, and it's not like they don't got action to get each other. We seen about certain incidents on YouTube. Me personally, I was able to catch a lot of stuff, especially before I even had my YouTube platform. Especially when it came to those incidents, I happened to catch the story of Dre, where he technically, you know, he was the one that was a hitter. And then technically, man, I actually got to see the black and whites, you know, when it came to Scrappy and Old Boy. And let me just say, man, even though it's gonna be a sad day for the writers, right? Technically, Old Boy ended up doing his thing. You know, it's on black and white, homie, and you can't argue with that or fight that, right? I know there's gonna be a few of you guys in the comments like, hey, whatever happened to that black and white? Well, technically, homie, that shit was roaming around in prison, you know, where technically there was something foul about Old Boy, right? At the end of the day, man, my boy Sapo did co-sign that shit. So I'm technically still gonna believe that shit, right? But I didn't get to see it directly with my with my eyes, homie. So you guys already be knowing how I am, G. If I was able to have that, I would have posted. So can't talk about it too much, especially since we don't have that, right? But for the smart ones that were gonna drop that comment, hey, homie, te gané el putazo, way, you know. So I pretty much answered you there. So with that being said, gente, you know, I'm not gonna go giving you guys a big ass profile on Scrappy or his clica, right? At the end of the day, he did create a new group. They're rocking. They're actually growing in numbers. I actually just heard that they ended up getting a new facility. I don't want to mention the facility because then people actually know where my boys are at, right? So with all that being said, gente, I hope you guys understand. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is a group that shouldn't be slept on, right? Either one, the riders or the NCs, right? Because at the end of the day, the NCs are growing. So maybe one day you'll actually see them right next door. How you actually see a lot of riders on different towns, right? How you see them, more than likely you're gonna start seeing this other group as well as new flowers, man. They fucking growing at numbers I can't even believe. So with that being said, gente, like I said, man, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to hit a thumbs up for your boy, man. Make sure to share with the others and drop comments to let me know what you guys think, right? I'm like, damn, Conejo, how is there gonna be a dropout gang to a dropout gang? Shit, give it some time, homie. There's gonna be another dropout gang to that dropout gang to that dropout gang. Shit, just give it time, homie. You'll see. But with all that being said, gente, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know some of you guys are going to be laughing and dropping some weird-ass comments like, pinche conejo, wow, pinche pesetón. Hey, get your clown on, homie. It's all good at the end of the day on the E.B.K. We encourage, homie, freedom of speech. So with all that being said, carnal, ya saben, homie, it's your boy Conejo. If you enjoyed the video, thumbs up. If you didn't, homie, I kind of understand. There's going to be a few that are upset. Hit a thumbs down, homie. Te la paso this one time. But make sure to subscribe, hit that follow, notification bell. Let's go live, gente, and let's see what happens. So with that being said, this is your boy Conejo. I'll see you on the next one, man. We out.
Yeah. Woohoo! What fuck squirt gun?